So, hello. Just a moment. Yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining. I saw some people 1 hour earlier already because they didn't know that Germany is already in winter time. So they came early. And yeah, good to see you guys. So as usual, please start by generating the right motivation of bodhichitta for the sake of all sentient beings. Okay. So let's start. So finally we reached chapter 6, right? I think we really, I looked it up, I think in March we started with chapter 5. So it was really a long way to this chapter. And as you know, the whole idea of this Bodhicharavatara is to realize or to awaken Bodhi being this perfect enlightenment. Bodhi is rendered in Tibetan like Sangye, that we purify everything that needs to be purified and that we complete everything that has to be completed. And so this is, of course, our aim here. And for all that Shantideva was teaching, these nearly 1,000 stanzas. But even though he used so many words, of course, a word itself can never really describe Bodhi, this awakened state. But the words can only be sort of the hint or the finger, that points to Bodhi, or it can also be the explanation of what is not Bodhi. If you have never eaten salty, if I tell you it's not bitter, it's not sweet, it's not sour, then sort of by exclusion you sort of understand what it could be, but it's still only like only an idea. It's not, of course, the realization. So yeah, Shantideva is using many words, many stanzas to lead us to this state of Bodhi, which, yeah, as I said, which itself is inexpressible, which itself is beyond words, which itself is beyond intellect. That's also how Shantideva put it in the 9th chapter. So Bodhi itself is very uncomplicated and very reachable and very practical. And this, yeah, we attain if we rely on Shantideva's words and then not only listen to them, but hopefully practice them, contemplate on them, meditate on them. And then, and then when we do that sort of well, successfully, then we disentangle ourselves from all the conditionings, from all the hope and fear. And yeah, we are then in a state that is basically wisdom, if we are really free from all conditions, from all concepts, from all habits. And that wisdom we only want to achieve in order to be of benefit for others. And yeah, Shantideva in the 9th chapter is also very much emphasizing that wisdom is the main thing here of his whole book, but that all the other previous trainings are important to remove certain hang-ups we have that disallow us to see the wisdom. So therefore, even though wisdom is the main thing, we need all the previous training to reach that wisdom. Because all the previous trainings, they manipulate our habits. They are the antidotes to, what did I say, like hang-ups or clingings or distortions or distractions. So that is sort of the path, and on that path we are today entering chapter 6. In the first 3 chapters we have already developed our enthusiasm about bodhicitta. We have taken the Bodhisattva vow. Then chapter 4 and 5 we have all the tools that we need in order to keep our discipline intact, and this of course is applicable also in the Vajrayana context in regards to the Samaya. And then that is sort of the background, and now we are starting to really practice, which is then first the paramita of patience, which is the opposite of anger. And then later we practice diligence, the opposite of laziness, and then meditation, the opposite of distraction, or like, how did Maitreya put it? Our love to be dependent on something else. That's the definition of distraction. And then we also counteract ignorance in the 9th chapter with wisdom. And then in the 10th chapter, we counteract stinginess by practicing dedication. So there are different paramitas in order to overcome different problems. Generally, of course, bodhicitta is the antidote to everything. Wisdom and compassion is the antidote to everything. Nevertheless, sometimes if we have specific problems, like anger in our example now, there's a specific antidote, which is patience. As I said, even though compassion and wisdom, they take care of everything, still sometimes specific antidotes are not wrong. So that's where we are. And when we look into chapter 6, it has like 3 big topics. That first, the shortcomings, disadvantages, or side effects of anger, of the problem, are explained. And therefore, hopefully, we are convinced that we should overcome anger. And then the second part is that we really cultivate patience. And then in the third part, this is about respecting sentient beings, where we understand that sentient beings are necessary for us to attain enlightenment. Also, there are some teachings on rejoicing with the qualities and activities of the Buddha, and there's also a small reflection on karma in the end. But like basically three points in this chapter, like removing anger, practicing patience, and respecting beings. And before we now then finally come to the first verse, please always have in mind that patience is not a weakness. It's not, I think maybe in English it also works. It's not that we are becoming like a doormat. We have that in English, right? Also the same idea. And so it's not that we are passive and we let other people bully us, or we let other people take advantage of us. Because we are afraid or something, and therefore we just keep calm and don't fight back or something, or just because we are weaker than them. So that is not patience. But patience is really a strength, and that is also what His Holiness the Dalai Lama is repeatedly saying, that it's really the strength or the ability to remain peaceful, or firm or stable, even within difficult situation. So that is basically the idea of patience, that it's this strength or ability to keep our mental peace intact. Yeah. So that we, the ability to not get angry. And if we have that ability, if we have that patience, then sort of we have that stable and clear and calm, peaceful mind that we usually have, sort of. And even in a difficult situation, so we can keep that stable, clear mind in the difficult situation. And then with that clear mind, we can decide out of compassion if then we should just, let a difficult situation happen, or if we want to let somebody take advantage of us. Or then we might also see that it's maybe better to stop that person doing that, or to maybe we see it's better to keep silent, or it's better to talk or to shout. All of that is then the second step. So first we need to keep our cool, and then based on that, we then know best how to react in that difficult situation. And so that I think is always good to keep in mind, that patience doesn't mean passiveness, but patience only means, keeping that clarity in mind so that we can have access to our wisdom and compassion, and then in a particular situation, we know how to act or react to a difficult thing. And Shantideva will then talk about many benefits of patience and many disadvantages of being impatient or angry. Is that clear so far, or shall we discuss on anything? I saw there's a message. Forbearance. Yes, that is also one word, Patience, forbearance, tolerance. This may come a bit later, but can you talk a bit about the cause of anger? This will be discussed in, I think, Dotoku's favorite verse of the beginning. The cause will be bitterness or resentment, or very like subtle mental unhappiness or irritation, that kind of thing. And that comes because we don't get what we want, and we get what we don't want. But we will come to that. So when we look into the 6th chapter, then, as I said, the first 10 verses, and that is the aim to discuss today. Let's see if we manage. The first 10 verses are about that, to show the disadvantages and problematic consequences or results of anger or hatred or aversion. So that we are hopefully very enthusiastic about removing anger and practicing patience. So in the first 2 verses, they are more a little bit like invisible faults or problems are mentioned, and then the more obvious faults are mentioned of anger. So let's see, where's verse 1? And I have to warn you, verse 1 will take a little bit of time, because if one wants to do it properly, it is a little bit, there are so many debates happening, basically. Patience here. Whatever wholesome deeds, such as venerating the Buddhas and generosity, that have been amassed over 1,000 eons, will all be destroyed in one moment of anger. So on this verse, there are really so many debates, but I don't want to bore you with them. But still, I want to give an overview of what could be debated. So first, it starts with talking about time, because there are 2 times time periods are mentioned: 1,000 eons, 1,000 kalpas, is mentioned, and then there is also one moment of anger is mentioned. So what does that mean? These two time periods. So when we look at kalpas, I don't know if you have studied that a little bit in Abhidharma, but it is said that the destruction. So all commentaries accept that this is a great kalpa that is meant here. So 1,000 great kalpas. And great kalpa means it is the time period of a universe. And it takes 20 intermediate kalpas to build it, and then it remains 20 intermediate kalpas, then 20 intermediate kalpas, it degenerates, and then there are 20 immediate kalpas of empty or voidness. And each intermediate kalpa is already like billions of years. So we have 80 of these intermediate kalpas that make up one great kalpa. And out of that, Shantideva is saying 1,000. So Shantideva is saying the merit of 1,000 of these great kalpas is destroyed by one moment of anger. Then also moment, there's a little bit debate what one moment means here, but also most scholars agree that one moment is like this. If we assume that I'm a young, healthy, and strong man, that is the definition of somebody who is. So I'm neither of these. So that is a definition of one moment, and then this you can even reduce into shorter moments, which are like 65. But they say so one moment is meant like that long is the anger, like this, and that that destroys the marriage of that has been accumulated over 1,000 great kalpas. So if we really accept that, then for somebody like me, it's impossible to ever attain the state of Bodhi. Because I'm getting angry every day, really, like, and not only one moment. So I will have no chance really to, because even though, let's say for 2,000 kalpas, I behaved well and practiced a lot of virtue. And then in one moment, all that is gone, you know. And then in the afternoon, I'm angry again. And then another 1,000 kalpas of merit is gone, you know. So therefore, at least I will never make it, really. So that is, and if that is the case for me, then maybe also for others. So therefore, the scholars said that might not be fair or not possible then. So maybe that's not to be taken literally. Maybe that is all just a pedagogical tool here by Shantideva to dramatize a little bit. Is everybody alive, or was somebody shot here? Mon Dieu, what is happening? So for example, Tsongtsa Khyentse Rinpoche is saying that this is only Shantideva. Shantideva is dramatizing here and the side effects of anger to make us really practice patience, so that we that we really do the mind training. You know, in the mind training context of the Kadampa masters, sometimes things are a little bit provocatively exaggerated and not necessarily so literally true, but it is done that way to really not give any loopholes. Because in Vajrayana you might think, everything is of one taste, so therefore I can be angry, and you can sort of lie to yourself, deceive yourself, and you think you are the great transformer of all your kleshas, but actually the kleshas are still controlling you, and you just think you are managing it because intellectually you know that wisdom and anger is of the same nature or something like that, or both wisdom. So Zongzi Khyentse Rinpoche is saying to counteract that. Wait, I have to mute somebody here. This has to end now here. So this one. So yeah, to counteract any loophole, you know, like what we could have in this higher teachings, you know, where we say, yeah, the nature of anger is emptiness anyway, and stuff like that. So therefore, I can let it happen. Therefore, Shantideva is really strict here and is not giving any credit to anger. In German, we say Shantideva is not letting any good hair at anger. I don't know if anger would have hairs, you know. He's saying, yeah, every hair is not good, basically. So anger is bad in all aspects. And you will see that Shantideva is really using enemy, you know, as a word for anger. So anger, from our point of view here, from Shantideva, is always bad. Anger, or maybe hatred, if we use that word, is easier to understand. And yeah, so Shantideva is talking really to somebody who has no practice, who is not practicing Lojong or Vajrayana or anything, who's just under the control of hatred and anger, and therefore destroying his own mental peace and the happiness of others. Yeah, so that my main point I was trying to convey is that it's, yeah, maybe it's a pedagogical tool here and not taken too literally. And Ringo Turku recently gave an example of that is also showing that, let's say you are in a relationship for 10 years and it's going very well, but then one unlucky day, you know, you become very, very angry with your partner, you know, and that might destroy so much, you know, what has been accumulated over the last 10 years of goodness. So that was his example, you know, how anger, yes, is destructive, and it can destroy a lot of positive things that have been built up over many years. Okay, the debates are still not over. I show you the screen again. I'm sorry, the other verses are more straightforward. Not true, actually. Later, even in this chapter, there comes already something about the Samkhya school. So, what is it? Yeah, we are talking about wholesome deeds, right? So the next question is, yes. Sorry. We're talking about 1,000 kalpas here, that the wholesome deeds or the merit or the virtues of 1,000 kalpas is destroyed in one moment of anger. So there are many debates on that. And the debate is it like 1 kalpa per moment of anger? Is it 100 kalpas, or is it 1,000 kalpas per moment of anger? These are the options, apparently. And then many sutras are quoted by many different masters. And then in the end, they sort of little bit agree on that it's actually different if an ordinary person is angry with an ordinary person, or if an ordinary person is angry with a bodhisattva, or if a bodhisattva is angry with an ordinary person, or if a bodhisattva is angry with a bodhisattva. So these 4 permutations. So and then depending on what is the relationship and on what level are you, then it will be like one kalpa, 100 or 1,000 kalpas of merit that will be destroyed. there are so many details. Then it's also talking about the bodhisattvas who are not prophesized in regard, being angry in regard to some bodhisattvas who received the prophecy of Buddha already. But really the essence is it depends who's angry with whom. And then the answer is 1 to 1,000 kalpas of merit is destroyed. Okay, and the last thing, and that is, I think, the most interesting debate here. What merit is destroyed? What virtue is destroyed? Because there are like 3 types of virtue. Wait, I wrote them down. I can put them in the chat. Where is the chat? Here. Oh, there's a question. I will look at that later. So there's first virtue tending to happiness. Second is the virtue tending to self-liberation. And then is the Mahayana virtue. So these are like 3 different types of merit or virtue. And now the scholars are debating what merit is meant here by Shantideva that has been destroyed. So this, I think, is practically interesting. The first merit is just something very simple, you know. I'm going to Holland and cleaning Jon's living room, you know, without any. I'm not saying it's messy or dirty. I'm just saying it's like it's a very without any bodhicitta. I'm not doing that as a Buddhist, like with any skillful means or wisdom. Just a very nice, helpful act, and no understanding of emptiness and nothing. So that is the first one. It leads to happiness because I'm doing something good, but this is totally within samsara. And the second one, this is practiced by the Shravaka-yana practitioners or Prateka-Buddha-yana practitioners. They don't have bodhicitta, but they have some wisdom. You know, out of the 2 selflessnesses, they understand the selflessness of person. I'm always mixing that up. And Prateka Buddha is even a little bit of selflessness of phenomena. So they have some wisdom, but not the skillful means of bodhicitta. So, and if from that mind state we act, and they have the aim to attain nirvana because they say nirvana is bad, samsara is bad, is negative. So therefore they want to get the hell out of samsara. That's how Khyentse Rinpoche puts it. And therefore they practice for their self-liberation. And when they do that with their wisdom and with their limited compassion without bodhicitta, then whatever merit they accumulate, that is called the merit tending to liberation. And then the Mahayana merit means that is really something of a bodhisattva who has bodhicitta, so he or she has compassion and wisdom. And the wisdom is seeing the emptiness of all phenomena. So these are the 3 types of merit. And so all scholars agree that the first type of merit, that will be destroyed by a moment of anger, but not the last 2. So that is, I think, interesting. Gyaltse Tokme, you know, the author of the 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva, he also wrote a commentary to Bodhicharyavatarā. He says even the first 2 merits are destroyed. Or the other thing is maybe it's not really destroyed, but it's only delayed. That is also what some scholars say. So that anger is not really destroying the merit that has been accumulated. And Marina, yes. So merit has, what? Where was I? I forgot. Yeah, so the merit is not really destroyed, but it's just delayed. And that again makes sense if you study Abhidhamma Kosha. Really, I'm nearly done with this verse, but it's so complex. So if you study Abhidhamma Kosha, there are like 4 things that determine which merit is ripening first. And here there's, in the commentaries, they are saying, because if you are very angry, it is a very intense thing that you're doing, and therefore that ripens first, and therefore the merit of previous actions is delayed. Oh, Rosa, didn't I say that? I meant delayed, whatever I said earlier. And or also if you do something very near to your death, for example, if you are angry, that's why the moment of death is very crucial for practitioners. So what is done very near to the moment of death will ripen first. So so therefore, if we are angry on our deathbed, then yes, that delays a lot of merits we have accumulated before. Yeah, and then what else? What would you call these 3 aspects? What do you mean, Pallavi? Pallavi?
The 3, what is it called? Like, what would you term it as?
Which 3? The 3 merits there?
Yeah. Sorry, the 3 merits.
I don't know, the 3 types of virtue.
3 types of virtue, okay.
So, and if we, yeah, so when we then look at these 3 types of virtue and also related to our 6 paramitas, then now maybe it makes a little sense, because the first 2 parameters, generosity and discipline, they are mainly the parameters of the actions of body and speech. That's how they're classified. And the parameters, patience, diligence, meditation, and wisdom are more the parameter of mind. So, and many commentators agree on that point, that the merit of the mind cannot be destroyed. Now we're getting to that. But the verbal and the physical merit of the first 2 parameters can be destroyed by anger. And so that is a general rule. But, and now I answer Payel, I don't know, is that the real name? But there are now the exceptions. Every merit, even of the first 2 parameters, if it is sort of practiced with bodhicitta, which includes wisdom that sees the nature of emptiness, then every merit is sealed and is not destroyable, because it makes it the 3rd type of merit, which is the Mahayana virtue, which is not able to be lost, because you have that wisdom of emptiness that basically in this context sees that I'm empty by nature, that the action is empty by nature, and that the act or action is the same, and also the receiver is empty by nature. If you have that understanding of emptiness, then it's automatically the virtue that leads to Buddhahood, the 3rd one. And it is undestroyable because it is based on wisdom, And wisdom is the thing that is not samsaric. Only if you have direct realization of wisdom, you are on the first bhumi. Before that, you are in samsara. Yeah. And yeah, so the first two parameters, they are not called parameter then, like generosity and discipline. If you don't have the wisdom, then they are just virtues tending to samsaric happiness. Or maybe if you have a little wisdom, then they are tending to self-liberation. But on a bodhisattva level, then these merits are hopefully in union with these two practices, these two parameters are hopefully in union with bodhicitta, compassion and wisdom. And then they're the third type of Mahayana virtue, and therefore then also they are undestroyable. Then normally we say dedication is also protecting the merit, and I'm nearly done. And then His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, yes, but that only works actually if that is really if that really has the bodhicitta with it and the wisdom that understands emptiness. So only then the dedication works in that way that it really seals and protects the merit. If me as an ordinary person, if I dedicate without the understanding of or the realization of emptiness, then of course the dedication can't be that effective. It's better than nothing because at least it's a bodhicitta in training kind of thing, but it's still not really like 100% protected because I just don't have that direct realization of emptiness. Okay, that's it, verse 1. After 38 minutes. So let's see which questions that I didn't answer yet. Also, how does the accumulation picture fit into Vajrayana? Can you elaborate on that, please? Yeah, Marina, I think I answered you already that the second type of virtue is that of the Shravakaya level. They have the wisdom aspect, but also not the complete one from Mahayana point of view. But they have enough wisdom, so therefore they can get out of samsara, so therefore they can attain liberation, but not Buddhahood. Yeah, delayed was my trigger. Okay, Katja. Da-da-dum.
Yeah, so for the accumulation aspect, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to diverge too much on this, but you were saying one moment of anger. If I get angry every day, then thousands of kalpas have just burned, of merit have just burned, right? But if we are on a Vajrayana path in which the practice is precisely based on realization of emptiness, what does accumulation of thousands of eons mean?
I think I didn't hear the whole thing, but if I practice Vajrayana, yes, I use my understanding of emptiness, but if I don't have the direct realization of emptiness, then yeah, my merit is still not really fully protected, right? For me, because I only have like a more or less intellectual understanding of emptiness, but the more realization I have also in Vajrayana, then the less, then the more protected the merit is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, more or less. We might discuss it later because, yeah, better go on with the verses.
Yeah, but I mean, what method we practice, if it's Vajrayana or Mahayana or general Mahayana, doesn't make much difference. It depends on our mental state, that is behind that.
Yeah, but anyone could start just practicing and on the realization of emptiness. So practice emptiness and bodhicitta.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much merit you have accumulated. If you realize that emptiness and bodhicitta, all the accumulations, do they affect how fast you realize that, or if you do or not? Is my question clear?
Maybe, but not for me.
Yeah, don't worry.
I do.
Yeah, but we might continue with this. And maybe I try to make it clearer for myself also, and then I can, if it is clearer, then I can ask.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Please come back for that. So, I see some people came now from Dotoku's teachings. Because today is a big Sakya day, so that's why some people they listen to Dotoku's teaching, because I think there are like 5 big events or anniversaries today. And and one, for example, is that Ludin Khen Rinpoche, his birthday today, and then what was it, Konchak Gyalpo's anniversary, and what was it, Sashin Kunga Ningpo also, and Barilot Sava. So there are like five big things happening today. So Dotoku just talked about that on Facebook, and I think it's worthwhile to watch. It will be still there. So yes. Oh, and wait, I can maybe show a short video of Ludin Khen Rinpoche in case you didn't see it. It's just 10 seconds or something. Don't worry, I'm not boring you, hopefully. This is Tsongtse Khyentse Rinpoche with him. Yes. Okay. So that was Ludin Khen Rinpoche and Tsongtse Khyentse Rinpoche. So let's continue then, I think. Oh no, there's more questions. If you're angry inside but are kind outwards, is that a form of lying? It's definitely a form of anger. Is it a form of lying? That is good. That is actually, it's really nice, that question. Is it also a form of lying if the Dalai Lama is saying he's just an ordinary person? I think so, right? A form of lying. That is too good. I need to think about it. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course, the motivation matters. Yes. Sorry, now I'm stuck with my example and can't think of yours. I'm really thinking of the Dalai Lama. Is that lying if he is modest? Yeah, if you hide your qualities, good qualities, is that lying? And then I think we have the good answer. Well, the motivation. Okay, now I try to tune into your example. If I'm angry inside but kind outwards, I mean, I think I would say it's a good start. Because normally I'm angry inside and outside. So at least I control my outside behavior, and it's and that is a good thing. So hopefully then I'm not destroying the heart of other people, with my words and action. So in that sense, it would be good, But if it turns into something that is like passive aggressiveness, or this, this latent anger that comes out then in very minor things with like very harsh or very like cutting remarks, So if you just, if then, your angry nature leaks out somewhere, if your facade is a little bit incontinent, then if that then comes out here and there in different situations, then that is also not helpful, of course. But I would say that is part of the training. So it's a good thing, at least, like instead of acting it out and feeling it, only feeling it is already an improvement. And then let's try that it doesn't arise in the first place, And yeah, if you say it's about authenticity, I think if I would be angry with you, then I'm sure you want me not to be angry outwards. But for the sake of authenticity, I could still tell you that I'm angry, maybe that would be authentic enough. So I could, and without using the word you, like you made me angry, I use the word I, if we have this, I don't know, non-violent communication. I feel angry because of Lala, or no, not because I feel angry or I feel hurt or it's difficult for me that, Then if you want to be authentic, then if you want me to be authentic with you, then maybe that I could offer. And that would not destroy so much between us. Yeah, but I think it's at least some control we have. Yeah. Yeah, because I think that's maybe good enough if we just share it, let's say in a relationship, and if your partner is always getting on your nerves and always whatever taking the bigger piece of cake, and more ice cream than you, then maybe it's good to say that you feel taken advantage of, or that it makes you angry or frustrated that he or she is doing that. I think that's good to express for the sake of better relationship and for the sake of honesty and authenticity. But I think that everything is more digestible if the anger is not vomited outwardly, And be careful not to sound as irony or sarcasm. Maria, what does that tell us? Do you mean if I sort of keep the anger inside and then it comes out in different versions, right? Then it could come out like irony or sarcasm. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Still, it's better maybe, but sometimes this also hurts a lot, if it's really like cutting, and if you then use the information, the secret information you have of that other person, and then in a small cutting remark, you destroy so much, and actually your anger was actually about something else, but there you let it out, and that is not helpful either. Yes. Yeah. So you guys who came later, you missed many debates about verse 1. Okay, first another question, then we go to verse 2. Does it depend also on the character of your partner? Some people have a hard time hearing the other person is angry or frustrated. May make them feel defensive a little bit. Yeah, but hopefully you know your partner and then you use the word that is chewable for him or her. I don't know what to say. Really, then you can label it in another way, or so that the person is not, that it's really digestible, that is the main thing, that we try to express something that is that is digestible for the person. So therefore, yes, let's be skillful. Yeah, so we finished verse 1. In many debates, what you guys missed is debate about what merit is destroyed, how much merit is destroyed, and many other things. So now we come to verse 2. I will show that. Ta-dam. There's no evil like hatred and no fortitude like patience. Thus I should strive in various ways to meditate on patience. Good. So that is a little bit easier. And here, the word hatred is used. In Tibetan, shedang. The Dalai Lama wants that actually in Vajrayana to be named hatred. In Vajrayana, he's saying anger is better because it's something that you can work with. So shedang. So hatred is the worst because it is so much the opposite of bodhichitta. It really slows down our bodhisattva path. It's the opposite of bodhichitta because bodhichitta is, of course, loving kindness and wisdom and compassion. So therefore, with bodhichitta, we try to see, we try to have a more non-dual outlook. And anger makes it very dual, dual. So me here, you there, me good, you bad. So anger is making the duality bigger. And also bodhichitta wants to help, and benefit, and anger wants to destroy. And
Arne?
Yes.
Can I have a question, please?
Sure.
Yeah, in Sutrayana, what we do in Sutrayana regarding to emotions, and what is the difference compared in the Vajrayana practice regarding to anger? What's the difference between both paths?
Okay, I will come to that. I just continue this verse and then I will go back to that. Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I will talk in let's say 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
And bodhicitta wants to see this non-dual thing, and and love is always coming nearer, to each other, and and hatred is really pushing away, making more distance. So it's really the opposite, hatred and bodhicitta. And hatred, as we know from the traditional teachings, is the cause for being reborn in a hell. Doesn't matter if we believe it outside world or maybe it's just a projection. So it's actually hatred, that we are projecting. And so that is also the worst situation, right? Hell. And so therefore the cause must be also the worst. So therefore anger is the worst or hatred is the worst. And then if that is the worst, then the opposite, which is patience, is of course the best or the best, what is it here? Fortitude. In Tibetan, it's ka-tup. And ka means difficult and tup means tolerate. So we are able to tolerate difficulties. Sometimes that is also translated as, Daniel, austerity or asceticism even, but it should not be understood as one of the extreme practices, that some ancient Hindu schools maybe are doing, that you in the middle of the summer you make 5 fires and you sit in the middle, that is an extreme kind of practice that is not meant here, But we could say I don't know, Naropa was a ascetic because he could yeah, he could handle all the difficulties that Tilopa was creating, you know. So he had that fortitude, he had that kartup, you know, the ability to tolerate difficulties. And then the verse says, yeah, thus I should strive in various ways. So here really like that is the first answer to Nadia's question. So we should strive in various ways. And all the Sutrayana ways how to deal with anger will be explained in chapter 6. And then, of course, we have also the Vajrayana ways that will not be explained in this book. Yeah, so, but if we read this whole verse, that is really something that is maybe also even nice to practice in the morning, you know, like we recite this and then we resolve not to get angry during the day. I'm sure you have heard of Buddha Akshobhya. He also once said, I will not get angry my whole life anymore. That's why he got his name, you know, Akshobhya, the undisturbable one. Yeah, and that we can at least try for one day, you know, and then maybe tomorrow we try that again. Yeah, but regarding the Sutrayana, here will be many instructions coming in the 6th chapter to deal with anger, and yeah, really the main thing is patience, and this comes because we understand the side effects of anger, not as a dogmatic statement, but hopefully through the next stanzas we are really convinced, and then in a situation when anger comes, we come up with good reasons why we should not get angry now, even though it is annoying. And so here, first in chapter 6, we have relative methods of how to deal with anger. Nadia, I'm still answering you, yeah? So there are relative methods how to deal with anger will come up here in chapter 6, where we use our logic and reasoning. And then also chapter 6, we use emptiness as an antidote to anger. So we also use the absolute truth as an antidote. And then in Vajrayana, we also use both of them. And ideally, we can see, because we are very good in meditation and the things that we need for Vajrayana, and then we can see the raw energy of anger that is not manipulated by the ego or hijacked by the ego. We can see that raw energy as wisdom. That would be the idea in Vajrayana. But again, that's not our occasion here, or not, at least not mine. And yeah, but this is how the difference is. Like in Sutra, anger is bad and patience is good, you know. So we have a solution and so we have a problem and a solution, you know, very different from each other, very far away from each other, a big gap. But then the higher you go in the yanas, you know, the smaller the gap will be, you know. Then anger itself is the solution in the end, you know. So the problem is the solution because you see that it's actually wisdom, and therefore there's nothing to be labeled as bad, and there's nothing to achieve, and there's nothing to remove, you know. I'm sure you have read that in the Heart Sutra. So on that level, yeah, problem and solution are the same, and that's it, you know. You just abide in that. But here in the 6th chapter kind of level of Shantideva, problem is anger, and that is negative and the enemy. And patience is the opposite, which is good and the solution. So we apply an antidote against anger. And that is possible because from Abhidharma point of view, in one moment regarding the same object, you cannot have two opposite emotions. So if I see Danielle now here, if I'm patient with her in this very moment, I cannot be angry with her. So that's it, you know. Anger is gone in that moment. So that is sort of the definition of it's being the opposite of. I can then, since it's the opposite, I can only have one at a given moment to a given object or person. I hope that was an answer, Nadja. Thank you.
Yes, it's very clear. Thank you.
But you studied that chapter already.
Yes, but don't say that in camera because I'm a bad practitioner, so I forget a lot. So I need to repeat the teachings every time.
Okay. Yeah, and anger is a good old friend, I think, for me at least. Not good friend, but old friend. Okay. Verse 3. La 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 la. My mind will not experience peace. Now we come to the more obvious side effects of anger. So my mind will not experience peace if it fosters painful thoughts of hatred. I shall find no joy or happiness. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. So the first line, not experiencing peace, that is referring actually to shamatha. You know, if we are angry, we cannot practice meditation. We cannot have a peaceful mind. We cannot have a calm, present mind. You know, if anger is like creating a turmoil in us. And meditation is the opposite. You know, then there's, meditation is like conflictlessness, sort of that what we are achieving. And yeah, it's really like toxic, you know, the second line, you know, it fosters painful thoughts of hatred. So it's really toxic for my body, for my mind, for my heart. It's really, painful in our mind. And we hopefully through the sixth chapter, there are many examples like that. There are many examples like hairs on fire or a snake in your lap, you know. So hopefully we will, whenever we feel anger in our mind or heart or wherever or body, that immediately we react like if our hairs were on fire or a snake on our lap, you know. So immediately we should do something about it. Of course, if you can practice Vajrayana, fine, you know, it doesn't matter. But whatever technique works for you at that moment is the best. And then it says here, I shall find no joy or happiness. That means like physical and mental. So one is physical and one is mental. So we don't find that if we are full of hatred. And also we can't sleep. And therefore we will feel unsettled also. We will feel weak or not tamed or not firm, you know. It will create inner wind problems, and that creates, I don't know, hypertension or psychiatric problems. And I don't know. I'm an expert in insomnia, so I can give you many more symptoms. Like, you know, you feel insecure, you know, everything is too noisy and you are so sensitive to everything. And irritated and irritating, I guess, also. So there are many of these side effects of not sleeping properly. And therefore, if that is the case, then we should try the opposite. And why? Because Buddhist view is always saying, you know, we all want happiness. You know, that is that is what is said normally. And yeah, so definitely we don't want absence of peace. We don't want toxic influence in our heart. We don't want no joy or no happiness. We don't want sleeplessness and so on. So therefore, anger is not really helping us to attain our happiness that we want. And yeah, therefore it's good to have a calm mind at first. And yeah, but a calm mind is of course not making us insensitive, or apathetic or spaced out, but yeah, making us sensitive but stable. And that is a good base to go into difficult situations. So, okay, then the next verse is number 4. A master who has hatred is in danger of being killed, even by those who, for their wealth and happiness, depend upon his kindness. Yeah. So the classic example here is a master, a boss. And the idea is it's a good boss. He or she is generous, and yeah, he's giving whatever the servants or attendees need. He's giving, the money, I don't know, ticket to a concert or whatever, food, clothes, everything. Yeah, we can just use a boss in our office, so this boss might be really generous, like giving us I don't know if you have that. We call it Christmas money. In Germany, some boss, they give you an extra salary in December, so you get 2 salaries. It's amazing. Really, it's third. So we get 13 salaries per year. It's really kind. And or maybe in America it's not usual to have good insurance. So yes, now this boss is giving you the health insurance and all this health benefits, or what it's called. So it's actually a good boss. It's a nice, kind boss. Or kind, maybe don't say kind, but he's generous. And then but then sadly this boss has no patience, and is full of hatred or short-tempered, and yeah, it's really like annoying the employees. And then yeah, here says a master who has hatred is in danger of being killed. Yeah, so that the employees before killing the boss, they will be depressed, and they will suffer from the mobbing and the scolding, and they will be sad, and take sick leaves and everything. And maybe also they will rebel against the boss, and yes, maybe they plan even to kill him or her. So what is meant here is, so even if one is generous and is actually helping others, giving them what they need, which is a good practice, but if you are full of hatred and bad-tempered, then people will practice social distancing from you. They don't want to be with you, and they are annoyed, and they might even be angry with you then. So that is the example. Another example could be a mother, who's really kind and generous and loving to the kids. Let's say a teenage daughter, I guess, and then, but then if the mother at some point is getting like frequently angry, then the daughter will really forget all the good things the mother has done, and will turn against the mother. So that is the idea here. Yeah. Whereas, total opposite example, if we are with a good teacher, like let's say whatever Rinpoche, you know, and we all hang around him or her, and he or she is kind, generous, and patient, you know, that will be contagious. You know, the Sangha will be similarly, and will not go against him or her. Okay. And in France, it can be done too. The Christmas money, I guess. And so the next verse. Yeah, it's very similar now. It's not in a boss-employee situation, but it's more in a family situation. By it, friends and relatives are disheartened. Though drawn by my generosity, they will not trust me. In brief, there is nobody who lives happily with anger. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the same, you know, in a family situation, even if you're like again and again kind, you know, but if you're aggressive, abusive, violent with body or speech, you know, then everybody will be frustrated and I don't know, sad or disappointed, and then they turn away also, you know, they also want to keep their distance from you because you make their lives miserable, so they don't want to hang around with you. Because nobody is really comfortable around somebody who is so full of hate or aggression. And the last two lines here is a little bit like what I mentioned before, that from Abhidharma point of view, you know, like in one moment regarding one object or person, you can only have like one feeling, but not the opposite. So I can only be jealous with somebody. If I'm jealous in that moment, then I can't rejoice, you know, with that person at that moment. You know, always the opposites, you know, like if I'm, as I said earlier, patient with Danielle, I think I said, then in that moment, I can't be angry with her. So that means, that is meant here. In brief, there is nobody who lives happily with anger. So whenever there's anger, there is no happiness, there's no peace of mind, because they're just contradictory. Galwa in debate. And also, it just also your life will not be happy because other people, turn away from you and avoid you. That is all clear, right? If not, please unmute yourself and debate. Okay, then we come to verse 6. That is a little bit a summary. Summary. Oh, there's something. Can you say a little bit how jealousy and anger relate, Marina? Yes. Oops. My Zoom is doing what it wants. I will do that after this verse. Hence 6. Hence the enemy here. Now we talk about enemy. Really, like it's very like polarized. So anger is bad. Hence the enemy anger creates suffering such as these. But whoever assiduously overcomes it finds happiness now and after. Okay, now it's here. My Zoom is confusing me. yeah, so in chapter 5 we already talked often about war, and so the kleshas, the negative emotions, are the enemies. So yeah, Shantideva is using that here again, and yeah, and so far we have seen that enemy the enemy of anger creates what is it saying here? Suffering such as these. Oh, in a German translation, it's a little bit different, because in German it also already here says now and hereafter, or yeah, create suffering like this and this, something like that in German, because we had this obvious and the inobvious problems of anger. And if you look at them, like the obvious ones is like, yeah, being looking ugly and destroying relationships and not sleeping properly and all of that, no happiness. That is all in this life. Here, the last line, it says, finds happiness now and hereafter. So that now means this life. I mean, this moment, of course, but also this life. And hereafter means then, yeah, future moments or future lives. Because, yeah, if I'm angry, then that has an effect karmically that will create suffering in future lives. Yeah, so we have difficult situations up to being in hell. But the opposite, if diligently, assiduously, we work with anger and really practice patience, then yeah, in this and future life, there will be happiness. In Vajrayana, they say from bliss to bliss, you know, like if you, yeah. So this life is blissful, next life is even more blissful, and the next one even more. So like this, and then step by step, we get closer to Buddhahood. Yeah. So Marina, the relationship between jealousy and anger. Can you say a little bit how jealousy and anger relate? So if you say relate, then I would say jealousy is the daughter of anger when you talk about relationships. Let's say anger is the husband and desire is the wife. And then the child is jealousy because it has both sides, you know. Because when I'm jealous, because my wife is doing something with another man, then I'm having desire towards my wife and anger towards my, what is it, opponent, or what is it? There's a good word, but I forgot. Yeah, I'm angry with the affair of my wife. Rival, yes, thank you. Rival, twice, good, bingo. Must be correct. 3 times. Wow. Yeah, so therefore, yeah, I have both at the same time. You know, jealousy comes because of both. You know, desire and anger, and also I think there's also a lot of fearful fantasy also that keeps jealousy alive. You know, because you have your fantasy, your imagination, and based on fear, you know, then you can keep jealousy alive. But really, it's a mixture of desire or anger, you know. So in other words, it's a mixture of attachment and aversion. I don't want to lose my wife, you know. That is, I dislike losing my wife. That is aversion. I dislike the rival. So that is aversion. And I have, yeah, attachment to my wife, attachment to the situation, how it is. I have aversion to if the situation changes. So that's a mixture of both. And fear, of course, also comes from the same, from aversion. And hope comes from attachment. or other, yeah. Yeah. Amazing. We might manage. If not, it doesn't matter also. So where are we? Oh no, verse 7 only. So verse 7. Now we come to the cause. Having found its fuel of mental unhappiness in the prevention of what I wish for and in the doing of what I do not want, hatred increases and then destroys me. Yeah, that is a verse that Dochoku really likes. Yeah, having found, I put it in the chat maybe, but I can also leave it here. So then you can hopefully still see it. So here, the fuel is mental unhappiness. I heard some teachers use resentment or bitterness. Dissatisfaction you can maybe also use, or being irritated. So, and the mechanism is, in a very basic level, you know, we think I deserve happiness and I don't deserve suffering. That is a very basic feeling. And then based on that, we get this annoyance is also maybe a good word. As it said here, in the prevention of what I wish for. So we get frustrated if I don't get what I want. So I don't know. Yeah, today I was annoyed in a Zoom because I was getting interrupted so often, so I didn't get the time to say what I wanted. Yeah. So somebody is preventing what I want. You know, I wanted to finish my sentence. It was only one sentence actually. Yeah. So still there. So that is the frustration, and the other thing is, and in the doing of what I do not want. In the doing of what I do not want. It sounds similar, but it means that we get what we don't want. It really sounds similar. The first thing is somebody is creating an obstacle and therefore I don't get what I want. And the second thing is I directly get something that I don't want. For example, I get nasty words from somebody, you know, or I get a kick in the somewhere. Somebody's beating me up or something. That is the second. So these two, this is the fuel for, that is that is sort of the mother of the fuel. So if we have one of these two, so we don't get what we want, or we get what we don't want, it's really as simple as that, then we have this mental unhappiness. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Then we have this mental unhappiness, and then, or this resentment or bitterness or annoyance, discontentment, whatever. And that is the nutrition, that is the fuel for anger or hatred. Yeah, like good food is the fuel for my body, you know, it makes me healthier, hopefully, it makes me survive sicknesses, and it makes me live longer and stronger. So likewise, exactly the same, you know, this what is it called here? Mental unhappiness is the fuel for anger. So it makes the anger stronger, more healthy, more having a longer life, you know. And therefore, yeah, the idea is that we starve the anger to death, basically, so that we don't give the fuel. And therefore, we need the first two, no, not the first two, but we need chapter 4 and 5, which was mindfulness, vigilance, and conscientiousness. Not in that order, but these three. So we need these three to really watch our mind all the time. And whenever we see this little annoyance happening, you know, this little unhappiness happening, then we don't get entangled into it. Yeah, ideally, you know, or we apply the antidote, because this little unhappiness is tiny, you know, it's little, and therefore it's very easy to remedy, whereas hatred is really big. And so therefore it says here in the last sentence, hatred increases and then destroys me. So that means if I don't, so if I don't have this mindfulness, vigilance, and conscientiousness, then this unhappiness grows and grows and grows, and hatred increases and then destroys me. And then, as I said, it's the opposite of bodhicitta, so therefore our bodhisattva path is really like doomed. That's it. So therefore, again, it's important to to be quick, you know, and to be very mindful and really notice this unhappiness very early. And then when it's still young, sort of, you know, when it's still fragile and tender and small, then we apply our antidotes. And by that, we save ourselves a lot of trouble. And yeah, in German we have a saying, "Wehre den Anfängen." I looked it up once. It's like, a stitch in time saves 9. Do you get it? I guess, I guess if I have a hole somewhere, you know, then if a small tiny hole somewhere in the t-shirt, then if I do one stitch now, then that's it, and then it's like new. But if I don't do this one stitch now, you know, then and wear it like one more day, and because of my wild life, you know, then it will be a very big hole, and then it needs 9 stitches. So therefore, yeah, it's good to be fast and mindful, and really, as soon as that arises, you know, then whatever method is good, then use that. So we managed 7 verses at least. And wait, did I just write 7? Oh yeah. Can you speak a bit more about this feeling of deserving? Yeah, like feeling I deserve to be happy and deserve to be unhappy. No. I said we have the feeling I deserve to be happy, and we have the feeling I don't deserve to be unhappy. Oh yeah, good. And I'm quoting here Dotolko, and he once said that, I think it was based on I think Jon could help me, but I forgot. Dotolko was using one old Sakya commentary, but I forgot the author, Dampa something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, he was saying that. Yeah, the basic problem is that, since I talked about duality earlier and non-duality and anger creating more duality, and so on a subtle level, you know, as soon as I think me and others, as soon as I think I'm here and others are there, here's inside, there's outside, you know, as soon as we have this small mistake, you know, so in the moment we are not abiding in the nature of mind, you know, then we have that dualism happening on a very tiny level, a subtle level. And as soon as we think I and other, we have the feeling I needs to be protected and I needs to be nourished, and either I don't care, or other is maybe dangerous, you know. Yeah, so strangely we have, as soon as we have this dualism, we just feel like I need or deserve happiness, and so therefore everything that we perceive, then we categorize, and either it's helping me or it's harming me, you know, either it's making me happy or it makes me unhappy. And then we develop these emotions, you know, like attachment to what we think is nourishing us, the ego, or we have aversion to whatever we think is attacking the ego. Just this, as soon as we have this small ego clinging, you know, we have that strange idea that that ego deserves happiness, and we try to do everything to have it, and then we do everything that it doesn't get the unhappiness. I mean, that is the what is it, birth hour of the 8 worldly dharmas, basically. And and that happens every moment, you know, because every moment we could undo that. We could just rest in the nature of mind, and then that's it. But every moment we don't rest there, then we come in that game, you know, of this 8 worldly dharmas and the whole dualistic thing of hope and fear. Okay, then thank you, everyone. And thank you for your patience today. And we didn't finish so many verses, but it doesn't matter, I hope. And and we finished today with a small 1-minute dedication by the Dalai Lama. I showed that earlier already, but I just like it so much. Let's see if I find that. So he's quoting a verse by Shantideva. And okay. Yeah, and thank you so much for being so interactive, all your good questions, and yeah, thank you. And after that video here, we just leave this. Thank you.
This is my favorite prayer. Daily I pray this. That gives me inner strength. So enthusiasm to serve sentient being, humanity on this one. As long as space remains, and as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and help dispel the misery of the world.
Bye-bye.